What's up, everybody? He's there. Hey, that was better than the button too, man. I think that was something we got to get in the rotation. You got to get the.
Ash, let's make a cue of that.
There we
Let's
go.
make a cue of that.
That
That's
was
good. Nice work.
yeah, that was good.
All
Hey, there we go. Good work. We're back. Welcome
right.
back to another episode of the Good Life Audiovisual Podcast. I'm your host, Mouzon. I got my other host, my good buddy Kobi, in the building. Say what's up, Kobi.
What up, though?
Say it with your chest, sir. Say it with your chest.
What up, though?
Funny story, sidebar. My last appointment that I had previous to just recording this was a guy who lived in Detroit for 37 years. And I was
Shout out Detroit.
I was tempted to be like, what up, though? But he was an older guy. He might have gotten it, but I don't know if he would have. So I refrained.
Oh man, you should do it. Everybody from the Detroit, if they are real, they know the deal.
They know the deal. No matter what age.
No.
Gen X, Gen Z, whatever, baby boomers, it don't matter. You know it.
Gen W, they got it. They know it. I don't know which one that is, but
I don't think there is.
All is included. Well,
I don't think there is.
All right, fair enough.
But it's okay. It's okay. We're back, guys, with another episode. This is episode 92 of The Good Life. Just like Kobi said, we're getting prepared for episode 100 and 101 on the road to 100, or should it be 100? Or so this is our debate, guys. We'll let you in. We'll let you in on our little debate that we had. Does the beginning of a new season, should it start at episode 100 because that's like the marker? Or is actually episode 100 the end of a season and episode 101 is the beginning? Which one do you think it is? We'd love to hear your comments in the.
And this is my argument. Let's
hear it.
100 completes the stack. Okay. 101 new stack. Because when you have an abacus, as we all did back in the day doing mathematicus. What, Chris, you didn't have an abacus doing mathematicus?
No, sir. Sir.
Well, I had an abacus bought to me by my very responsible and loving parents. And the thing is, you move it over and it's 100 and it completes the 100 and then you start a new stack. And that's one.
You've lost everyone. No one can follow this line. Yes, because of the abacus. And as soon as you say completes the stack, we have no idea what you're talking about.
All right.
No idea.
All right, fair enough. Let me do this. $100 bills. You got $100 in your hands, right? What is it? It's $100, and then you start a new stack. It's 101. So it's 101.
I'm not going to follow this logic. It
makes perfect sense.
It makes some sense. It does not make perfect sense. It may make some sense. But I also think it makes sense that episode 99 is the final season and final episode of the season, and we look forward to episode 100, triple digits, right? 3 numbers. It's like that is
the celebration of the end of the first stack.
It's the beginning of the new. You just made it into the 3 digits.
It can't be because we didn't do an episode 0. We did an episode 1. Now, if we did an episode 0, you would have a point.
No, because it's not about having 100 episodes in the stack.
I would like to call to the stand my first witness, my good friend Richard, who is one of the most brilliant mathematicus individuals that I know, to the table, and we will settle this. We'll call him as a witness.
How can we call Dick up here? How can we call him up? How can we call him?
Well, we will call Richard. That's a good point. I'll get back to you on this. I gotta find my witness.
Find him.
Right.
He's probably lost and probably wouldn't subscribe to what you're saying, but it's okay. We are on a road.
Wow.
We are on a road to episode 100 and potentially 101.
And
also.
potentially, what's going to happen in between 100
Well,
and
listen, I'm
101?
just saying we're getting there. We're getting there. But just to let everyone know, episode 100 potentially will be the one that starts the new one, or maybe it's 101. We actually haven't decided this debate yet. Again, we want to hear some engagement in the comments. What do you think? Should it be episode 100 or episode 101? What's the actual beginning?
Just put 100 or 101, preferably 101 to agree with me.
But 100 would make it easier because you could just press the little emoji that says 100. Again,
Oh, you do have an
convenience.
advantage.
We do. We do.
All right. All
But
right.
anyway,
I like
but
100 too.
both can work. Listen,
Yeah.
both can
Yeah.
work, right?
Yeah.
I'm not partial. I'm not partial, but
Yes, you are. Hey, 101, Dana, yeah, with the win. Uh,
Dana,
listen, if
Dana,
Dana has been with us since episode 1, not 0.
eh,
So
listen,
if she speaks, we've got to listen.
Dana is a day
100.
one.
See, they're both celebrations, though. See, I include your thought, but you exclude mine. They're both celebration. 100 is a celebration of the finish line, and 101 is a celebration of the start of the new chapter, new centennial.
It it doesn't make sense, but it's okay. We'll figure it out. 100 or 101 will be the brand new season. But again, we're making light of it. But yes, coming up in 8 or 9 episodes, we'll have a brand new format. We'll have guests that are coming on. We'll have more engaging topics. We'll hear more from you. We'll get more insight on how to build to the great life. I guess we might even have to change the name, right? Instead of the
Oh,
good life,
goodness.
got to get to the great life, right? Because it's not okay just being mediocre and being good. We got to get to greatness. So we're gonna bring all that stuff to you. Let us know who you want to see on the show. Let us know what topics you want to see on the show. All of that stuff is right around the corner. Episode 101 potentially.
Comment and tag somebody that we should bring on the show. Perhaps a mathematician, and perhaps an attorney to settle this year great debate. Perhaps even a judge. You know, we're open
Perhaps.
to all. We're open to all.
We are, but we love to have fun here. We want y'all to join in and get good information, have fun with us. Today's episode, let's dive in. Number 92, we're talking about things that make you more productive. We could all use a little bit more productivity in our life, I'm pretty sure. As and could be you kind of jump in as I've been dealing with clients and again on the financial coaching side and having conversations. A lot of times there's really a conversation about where we're spending our time throughout the day. It really comes down to our priorities, which we're choosing to spend our time, and that will then in turn allow us to be more or less productive in the tasks that we have, whether that's productive in our business life or our work life, whether that's productive in our health life, in our fitness, whether that's being productive in our family time or whatever the case is. But just being able to produce more, to get more out of your day, to get more out of the time. That's how I look at being productive. What have you been seeing, Kobi, and kind of what are your thoughts on like what it means to be productive in our society these days?
Yeah, I think that's a great question to start with, what it means to be productive in our society these days, because we can't divorce the two, right? We can't divorce our idea of productivity from the environment in which we live in currently, because the environment, in a way, kind of dictates. It's similar in the way that I define, for example, what a good diet is, which is really a back and forth, right? A dynamic back and forth between the mind, body, spirit, complex, and environment. I'll say the same thing here because, you know, a lot of our job tells us what it means productive. Our family members tell us what it means to be productive. We have concepts in our head of what we should be doing. And I think defining what that means for you is incredibly important. Where I would start with this, bro, is really I found that there is an equilibrium, if you will.
Mm,
There is a point at which more isn't necessarily better,
mm,
right? or where it's checking more boxes comes at a cost that is too great, whereas in the net outcome is actually not better. So I would say you really have to be cognizant of that. Are you doing enough? And are you at a certain point where you're doing too much for that particular time, right? So let me give an example to clarify. Maybe that didn't make sense, but let's say you're achieving at a let's say a B plus A minus level at your work. Maybe for right now, that's where you should be, so that your family doesn't completely go down the drain, right? So let's give maybe a real life example right now.
Mhm.
Let's say for example, you are a famous football player and your name happens to be Tom Brady, right? And let's say this is imaginary now, so work with me, brother, work with me. And let's say you have 7 rings, all right? And you're 45, 40, somewhere in there. So this is rough, so I don't really know. And your wife has been telling you for years that you got to come back to the farm. You got to help me take care of these kids. You got to come back home, right? I don't care about your 8th ring. I've already sacrificed enough for you, right? And you're saying, man, I got to be more productive. I need one more ring, right?
Mm.
So you retire. Again, I'm making the story up. You retire and then you unretire because you just got to go back and be more productive at the cost of your family. Now, that's to me is a situation, an example, a random example, out of nowhere, that maybe was it worth it, right? Is that more productivity really worth it? And I think it's a great place to start, because once we define that, then we can do the cost benefit analysis on our own life as to, like, okay, what what matters here.
Sure. Sure. And that hypothetical situation of Tom Brady
Yeah.
uh, is a real one. And again, it can bring the parallels of uh, what do we value? What's important to us in our lives? So, therefore, we can determine what to be productive at, what to produce more of, right? What to get more out of. And I think that's where we all, and everyone that's listening, for all the listeners, you have to sit and just start to think about those things. Like, what, first off, are the frameworks? What are the most important parts of your life? Some of you may have heard me say this before, and I often say it: my priorities, faith, family, business. Those 3 areas are the things that, like, I focus on the most. That if I'm going to talk about being productive, I think about it honestly in those 3 areas primarily. How am I being more productive and, like, producing more out of my faith life, out of my spiritual life, right? Growing my spirit man. How do I do more in that area to produce more of myself? Same thing with my family. Am I being productive in my family life? Is the quality time that I spend with my family, is that productive? Does it put me in a better position to have a better relationship with my family, or have more quality time, or open up more, or whatever I would need from my family? That's the other area. And then in business, again, it's real simple for at least me, and maybe some of you that are listening. It's really simple to think about it from a business perspective of, like, how productive am I in business? Well, you can just know by, right, the bank account, by the clients, by the, right, like, you can start to see how productive you are by the results. And you can look at your day to day and say, hey, am I giving this 100%? Am I actually productive? Was I, like, playing around on social media all day? Was I doing this all day? How productive was I? But it's easy for me to kind of talk about those areas, because those are the 3 areas that I care about the most, that I often say I care about the most. So I can then start to kind of qualify or quantify, so to speak, if I'm actually being productive in those areas. But I think if we don't know that first, if we don't understand exactly why we want to be productive or in what areas, uh, I think then, right, it could kind of take away and erode a bit this productivity conversation. So
Yeah.
really, really having the values.
Yeah. I think that's a great point. And as you were talking, brother, I think it became more clear to me that for me, I placed an element of efficiency with the term productive, right?
Mhm,
So, and like I said, is it worth it, right? Is
mhm,
it am I is is what I just produced, was it worth what it cost for me to put in? I almost realized don't separate those two,
mm,
right? Because to me, if it took the amount of resources it took to quote unquote produce this whatever X is, if it wasn't worth it, then my how I value that production or the thing that was produced kind of drops, right?
sure.
So if it takes me 2 3 days to do something that should have done 30 days, that's like, to me, that's not really productive. And some people would call that efficient. But I
Mhm,
think to me, I kind of group them all in one. So with that said, man, I think the question is, what are top 5 ways that we see to increase productivity with the while keeping in mind our definition we just placed, that element of efficiency with it, meaning we're how we're trying to do more with our most limited, our most precious resource, which is time,
that's
right?
it.
Would you agree with that?
Absolutely, absolutely, and that would probably be the first thing that I would say would make you more productive is having a deeper awareness of your time, getting more on a schedule, uh, scheduling things in. I think that is one of the things that can absolutely make everyone more productive. Now, it may not be in your immediate skill set, or it might not be the thing that you always like to do, which is, structure some time and, look at your calendar in different ways, actually run your life off of a calendar if so choose. Most of us, in all honesty, right, we've kind of grown up being told kind of where to be, when to be there, from school to having a job, right? Like, so we kind of know how to operate in that form. But once you really want to focus on productivity slash efficiency, it really is about becoming aware and scheduling in your time. I've st- I'm floating between the word, like I've heard before, time management. We shouldn't use that word, and no shoulds or shouldn'ts, but like it's not necessarily the proper, because you can't really manage time, right? You're more managing kind of yourself around habits and things like that. But if people understand what we're saying, time management, being able to set aside time and structure your time to know what is the best bang for your buck in that period. One of the ways that I've been more productive is structuring my day by the hour, because I don't have anyone necessarily telling me where to be or what to do or where to go or any of those types of things. I just have appointments, and I kind of structure my life around that. I run my life off of my calendar, and I look at my day in hour long blocks. So sometimes I'll have something at 9 a.m., it'll go to 10. Maybe I don't have anything at 10, but then at 11 a.m., I'll think, like, hey, what did I get done from 10 to 11? Hey, what did I just get done in that last hour? I really look at my days in hour long blocks so I don't just let the days fly by. Some of you that are listening might know you might not pay attention to your calendar or not pay attention to your day, and you might spend 45 minutes on social media, or let somebody take an hour of your time randomly. I had a conversation with a guy earlier today. He was like, yeah, went to an event, had a conversation with a guy, we really hit it off, didn't realize we talked for 2 hours standing outside. it's, it's like, man, like that was just a long time, man. like how did you not know you missed out on 2 hours? But that happens to a lot of people,
Yeah.
and that might not have been the most productive 2 hours for that person, just because they were unaware of the time. So organizing your calendar, scheduling things in, just in general, being more aware of time management will help you be more productive.
Well, I think that's a great one to start out with. I will either augment or add, or maybe this is even number two, a piece that I think you will actually appreciate and agree with, because it pulls from your school of thinking, which is before you schedule, right? Which would be like creating a budget. I think you should actually, and this is something I need to do soon as well. But take an audit
Mm-hmm.
of what does it currently look like,
Right.
right? So currently, go back and if you're not using a calendar, this would be hard to do. But if you are, it'd be a lot easier. But you can also just sit there and look back at like maybe just a day. Start with just a day. Like, what did I actually do today? And map out the time, right? In whatever 30-minute blocks, however your day typically function. Most people have different breakdowns of their day, and go to like if you're for I've mentioned before, but if you're like an attorney, I believe it's 15-minute blocks,
Mm-hmm.
right? And kind of like take if you're a trainer, it's probably hour block, right? If you're a coach, it's probably hour blocks. And like, what did I actually do? And I think that is a pretty scary sight for a lot of people, myself included, when you realize, oh, that's a lot of time, and that was not a lot of things that were produced at that time. And I think once you do that, then you can go ahead and go to the calendar and make adjustments and schedule yourself so that you can actually take better um, care or be a better steward of your time, and probably find time for yourself to take care of yourself a little bit more. Somebody told me this a while ago. I just remembered is that instead of doing an hour meetings, do 50-minute meetings and take 10 minutes for yourself.
Yeah.
Right. And I was like, oh, that's something I haven't implemented, but it just occurred to me as we're sitting here right here. And that's real time advice for you folks. That's real time goods. We drop them. Bam.
Somebody told me the exact same thing. It's like, because I actually don't do that. Like, everything's back to back in my calendar. Everything is like ends on the hour, begins on the hour, ends on the hour, begins on the hour, or on the half an hour, depending on how my day rolls. And I actually had a coaching client, mention that to me, like, hey, why don't you just give yourself 10 minutes or something at the end of every meeting, so that you can have some time to go into the next one, or start your meetings at 5 after, right? So instead of on, like, it gives you that 5-minute window, that cushion to just get organized or whatever the case is. And I was like, oh yeah, that does make sense. I also have not fully implemented it. However, those things definitely do make sense and probably would help with more of the productivity and getting in the flow, staying in the flow.
And yet another example of us actually working on ourselves as we do this podcast. We're not perfect, folks. We're just here trying, I guess not trying to be, but here at least digging through and working through the process with you.
That's right. We are working through the process together, side by side with you. We are in this with you. Lock arms.
Oh man. For those listening to the podcast, that was a very regrettable moment that hopefully nobody will screenshot and come back to bite us. So with that said, let's move on to number 2 of 5 ways to be more productive. And I would say so we said audit your time,
Mm-hmm.
right? Schedule your time. But I think another one for me would be place the large rocks first. Right. So
Like
place
that.
the large rocks first. So figure out what's really important. And there's so many different methods I've seen for this, whether it's the you know, get shit done. Pardon my French here. That's what it's actually called, get shit done. And the other one being ABC method by Brian Tracy, right? Or the 7 habits of highly effective. There's lots of different ways to think about it, but really, what's the thing that you really need to do today? And start with those things. Place those things we all remember our first grade teacher, or maybe we don't. For all our folks that are, did not educate themselves in the U.S. here, for example, we are all inclusive here, guys. So put the rocks in the jar first, and you can get all the rocks in, the small ones aside. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just Google it. Teacher with large rocks example. I'm sure you can find a YouTube video on that. But placing those things first in your calendar, right, or in your day, and how you do it. And for some people, maybe it's doing it earlier in the day, or for some folks, maybe it's doing it at critical periods in their day where they are most alert, where they have the most where they're most present to do those things. So that would be my next one.
That's huge. That's huge. And yes, for those of you that haven't seen the video, just go Google it. But it's a great analogy because every time you put the rocks in, I'll spoil it for some of you. Every time you put the rocks in, it's like, oh, the glass looks full. And then you add smaller rocks. It's like, oh, now the glass is full. Then you add some more. And then, right. And it just continues to go. And if you did it the other way, if you put all the small stuff in first, you would never be able to fit in the other things, the big rocks, as could be said, the things that are most important. So, again, why this is a great tip on how to make you more productive and how to stay more productive is because you're basically, the good old saying, right? You're keeping the main thing, right?
That's right.
You're putting the important stuff, you're prioritizing the important stuff first, and that will allow you to then be more productive in these areas. Put the important things first, even in your tasks. This is something you can do. You mentioned Brian Tracy. Brian Tracy, I think he has the book Eat That Frog, Eat the
Eat
Frog,
that frog.
Eat
Yeah.
That Frog, right? And that book is about basically doing the hard thing first, doing the most important thing first, doing the thing that you kind of don't want to do that at the earliest part of the day, do it at the beginning, aka put your big rocks in first, because that will then make the rest of your day more productive and smoother. So
Beautiful.
I love it. So those were the first two. If third one, what
I
to
think the
do?
first three.
That was three, huh? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because you put in time management, you put
Audit,
in audit.
audit, schedule, large rocks.
There we go. Audit your time, schedule your time, throw in those large rocks first. Here's something that's a curveball, but not
Uh oh.
really.
Uh
It's not
oh.
really a
Uh oh.
curveball. Might be a fastball right down the middle. Just the
Uh oh.
obvious. Get yourself some rest, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh.
Something I've been seeing, and I'm sure
Wow.
mind blown, right? Like, weren't seeing that one coming, or maybe you did. But we're hearing the word burnout. It's happening a lot.
Mm,
We're seeing people, we're hearing stories of people that are just burning it from both ends of the candle, right? Just nonstop. I got to do this. I got my hands in this. I'm running here, right? And again, that's why we're talking about productivity, because sometimes being busy does not mean that you're productive. Just be right.
say that again. Say that
I
again.
will. Just because you are busy does not mean that you are productive. Busy and productive are not the same thing. Many people are busy. It's almost, I think I saw this on a post somewhere. It's almost like the opposite of a flex to say that you're busy. It's almost like, why are you telling me you're busy? That just means like you don't know how to control your time. That just means that you're overworked. Like
Yeah.
it's not a good thing. But sometimes in our society, we put it out there like, oh, it's a good thing. I'm so busy. I got no time for anything. I'm busy.
Yeah.
But are you productive? So, anyway, to the point, number 4, get some rest. You need rest. Our bodies need rest. Our minds need rest in order to produce at their highest level, at their peak state. You need the other side. You need the rest, recovery, relaxation cycle in order for you to be the most productive. Otherwise, you burn yourself out, you burn both ends, you aren't, paying attention to your health, your nutrition, all those things. And because of that, you produce less over time.
No
You do
question.
not have the same amounts of energy. You can't be in peak state. So get some rest, ladies and gentlemen. That's number 4.
I love that one, man, because it is a fastball and a curveball. Wow. I
Mm.
don't know if that's possible, but that shows the extent of my baseball knowledge there. But it's critical, man. Just coming out of class here, and the thing that continuously comes up when it comes to our health is stress.
Mm.
Right? Honestly, stress and inflammation, but really stress, because stress causes inflammation that body doesn't need. And not only do we produce less, but we're also burning the candle faster. So it's totally not worth it. And we all need to hear it, myself included. So this is your reminder: prioritize that, because ultimately it is what's going to be the most important thing in the end. What I have here, ladies and gentlemen, is
Drum roll.
right, is cap your days. Cap your day. So what I mean by that is how you start your day and how you end your day can
Mm,
dramatically increase your level of productivity while keeping you in the best possible space or best possible health, etc. So getting, I think, an hour on each side could be incredibly productive, right? The evening setting up for the morning, morning setting up for evening. That cycle right there is so critical. And again, just an hour can really set you up. And even if it's not that, or doing that as well. I heard somebody say, what is it, Navy SEALs or whoever, whatever group, do more in the morning than most people do, like their whole day or something like that.
wow.
Some sort of phrasing. But it's for them, it's getting up earlier and really going through a routine that by noon it's like done, right? Have you ever walked down the street or you're going, maybe walking in the city or something like that, and you see construction workers eating because that's their lunch break because they've
Yeah.
been up for so long,
Yep.
right? So I'm not saying that you necessarily need to get up. You need to recognize what works for your body, right? If getting up that early doesn't work for your body, then don't do it. Don't force it. I no longer, believe in
Mhm.
this concept of like everyone has to get up at 3, 4, 5, etc. For me, that those things are fine for my body. I'm up early anyway, and I knock out earlier in the evening, so that's totally works. But for some people, maybe having just like an hour, right? Where they're waking up a little later, but they have an hour in the morning where they get their routine done. And then the evening, maybe it's a little bit longer of a routine. So they get their stuff set up. So they're not getting up that early in the morning. I think both work. You just kind of find out which one it is, find something that works for you. And that, in my opinion and in my experience, greatly improves the level of productivity and honestly, just enjoyment out of life, because if you do that, then you can fit in more of those small rocks.
I love it, man, and I'm a big advocate for it. I agree 1,000%. I believe in bookending your day. I believe in having a morning routine that you can stick to, even if it's just stretching, even if it's just devotional, even if it's just staring out the window or doing some grounding or whatever it is. Have that morning routine for yourself, and then also have that night routine so that you can wind yourself down, get into the right thoughts for the nighttime, and do it all again the next day. Start your morning off selfishly for you, then let your day be what it's going to be, then bookend it. I think this helps, especially for all of our entrepreneurs listening, anyone that has a business, starting a business, trying to start a business, whatever it is, making sure that you can control some parts of your day as an entrepreneur is important because most of your days you can't control. I mean, in all honesty, like no one really can control any of their days, but specifically being an entrepreneur, when you get thrown so many different things to pay attention to, you need to have some form of control, and control can come in the morning and evening times in your routine. So highly recommend it, and that will definitely make you more productive.
1000%. And to add to that, bro, is we are at the end of the day not just entrepreneurs, etc., but also the corporate athletes.
Hmm.
Okay, speaking to the corporate athletes, think about the life of an athlete. And again, we're corporate athletes because we can learn from a lot from a professional athlete in that they have routines. They're the top athletes at least are very routine based.
Hmm.
Like they start their morning a certain way, they go through their training a certain way, they go through, and these are the things that deliver results. These are the things that deliver or make us productive in what it is that we want to do. So if you're a corporate athlete, this is actually perfect for you because you can outperform most people in the workplace by just getting this in place. When I was in the corporate space, just having a proper morning and evening routine, I was outperforming most people just by putting that in place, right? I wasn't getting up groggy. When I came to work, I was already sharp so I could get my work done faster. All right, in the evenings I could get my stuff done so that could still spend time with family. So I think this is something that entrepreneurs and corporate athletes, we can all really take and elevate our level of productivity across the board.
I think so too. I think so too. Um, yeah, that was five. What did we say? What was the list? Run through it again.
The list, ladies and gentlemen, was make sure you audit your time so
Hmm.
you know what you're doing. All right. Number two, once you've audited your time, then you can go ahead and actually schedule using a calendar or something that works for you. I think we both prefer an electronic calendar, Google Calendar of sorts, so we can send reminders and things of that nature. Um, Number three was actually remind me what number three was.
My memory is just as good as yours.
I believe number three
Did we
was
say? Somebody help us, Dana. Pay attention. No, I'm joking.
what are you doing?
Uh,
So
was it what?
large rocks
Rest, large rocks, then
and
rest.
rest. Yeah, place the large rocks first. Go ahead and rest. And then the number five was make sure you bookend your days.
That's right. That's right. Those are five
That's it.
lists.
We'll have it in the comments for you anyway. We'll have it in Ash will put it in the
You-
description below so that you will have it written out, and then you'll look back at this moment in the video and you'll be like, "Huh, they didn't even remember."
they didn't even remember. But we gave you the list, and that list is going to help you. Those are five things. I don't. Do you happen to have an extra? Do you have a bonus? I was trying to think of a bonus one of what would make someone more productive.
I do have a bonus. I do have a bonus. We've kind of hit on it a little bit, but let me put it into words. My bonus is slow down to speed up.
mm,
Now, we've said it in a number of different ways, but I say slow down and speed up because yeah, uh, just because there's a lot of commotion,
mhm.
right? See that kid who can't swim and is in the water and is doing a whole bunch of splashing doesn't mean you're actually going anywhere. A really good swimmer doesn't splash a lot. I don't know
Mm,
because I'm not a good swimmer, but I've noticed. I see Michael Phelps. I doesn't seem like he's really splashing that much, right? So knowing what matters, bookending your days, getting enough rest, right? Doing these things will put you in a place where you're not having a whole bunch of commotion, right? You ever seen somebody that's late and is unprepared?
oh
They do
man.
a lot of, let me speak to myself. When I'm late and I'm unprepared, I do a lot of splashing. I'm trying to
Mhm.
find my keys. I'm trying to grab my backpack. I'm trying to make sure, I left my shoes. I'm trying to put all these things. But when I'm prepared, I'm ready to go. I got everything. I'm set. I'm going. And in fact, oh, look at that. I'm a little early. Let me stop and grab a smoothie. Right.
Mm.
So I think that would be my tip, my bonus right there for you. And I had to say it twice because it's oh so nice.
Look at that. Ash, clip that up. Clip that up. We need to use that for
uh
something. Uh, uh, great bonus. I'll give you the bonus.
oh.
Uh, it's funny because I was talking to someone else about this, and this is how we'll wrap it up. Get someone to hold you accountable.
Mm.
Part of being productive and part of uh, being able to produce more is we do a lot of things for others rather than just ourselves. It's very easy for us to quit on ourselves or slow down or have our mind come in and be like, oh, you don't need to do that, or that's a lot, or whatever that self talk is. So, actually having someone or a group of people hold you accountable to the tasks that you say you're going to do is one of the keys to being more productive. Having someone alongside that you say, and I've seen this done in all types of ways. Some people, I mean, could be we've been you and I, you've done groups, right, where we're accountable every night.
Right.
I actually gave that story to some of my other team, that I was explaining that to them about what going on a solid food vacation does. I tried to do it by myself without the accountability, and didn't last as long, only lasted 4 or 5 days. And then we did a 10-day together, where we had a group of people that were accountable every night. And that caused me to make it all the way through the 10 days, is because I had some accountability, and I just didn't quit on myself. Same thing in your day-to-day work, whether you have someone you call and talk to in the morning, whether you have somebody you talk to every night, whether it's just text messages throughout the day, but somebody or a group of people should be there to hold you accountable for what you said you're going to do. If you said you were going to be productive in a certain area, who else knows about it outside of you? If you find that person or those people, your productivity will go up. That's my bonus, bonus, bonus.
I love that. I love that. And with that said, there will be another solid food vacation coming up here, most likely this month. So if you are interested, definitely let me know. So that was a great plug for that. And well, I think that's a beautiful place to leave it, a great place to leave it right there.
Yeah.
5 tips to make you more productive, or to at least lead you down the road of being more productive and efficient, however you want to put it. Just get more out of the time that we have here, because that is literally our most valuable possession, or most valuable commodity that we have.
Yes,
So that's
sir.
it, brother. I think that's it for us today.
Yes,
If you
sir.
like what you heard, make sure you send this. Don't just like, because you're gonna do that anyway, right? Don't just follow. You're gonna do that anyway. Subscribe, and if you're on YouTube, right? Comment, because you're gonna do that anyway. But make sure you send this to somebody, share this with somebody, and tell them what part of it should they go to. Should they go to minute 10, minute 13, where Chris brings up ridiculous things, right? Or I'm just kidding. But tell them, hey, watch at this point, so they can get the most value out of it, so they don't be like, why are you sending me this whole thing? And we appreciate you guys for joining us. Shout out Dana and all of you who are back with us on Instagram. I'm
Right.
really excited to be back on Instagram, actually, for the
Yeah.
live, not the platform, but just for the live
Just for the
aspect of it.
live aspect. We need
Yeah,
it. We need it.
yeah.
We missed you, Instagram. So we're gonna come back, and it's every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Yeah, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Jump on. We're gonna now be back on Instagram, but we're always live on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. We're there. So we just want to get you the message, get you the information, so you can go out and make your life great.
That's
That's
right.
it.
That's right. Appreciate you guys. Until next time, peace.